Today was time for excitement abound as our roads were being slurry sealed, or our street that runs by our house. They've been working on it all week, and they finally got to our stretch at the end of the week, Friday, May 17th. Slurry seal, in case you don't know, is San Francisco Giants mascot Lucille's younger brother. Slurry seal. Actually, no, it's a compound or an oil that gets laid over asphalt to preserve it until the next time it needs to be paved. It lessens the frequency at which roads have to be fully paved and therefore saves money over the long run. So we'll take a look at a few pictures and videos of the street getting sealed. We start with the picture beforehand. This is about 3 hours before they started sealing. This was probably taken around 10:30 in the morning, and they started around 1:15. All's quiet as there's no cars driving through. Well, a few of them, but not many, and there's certainly no cars parked per the warning. And it's all quiet on the western front as the guys in the distance prep the street, mark it accordingly, and a good before shot so you can compare the finished product with what you're looking at here. The smallest of details had to be taken into consideration, even right down to taping up the manhole covers so that the slurry doesn't leak down into where the water drains or and somehow get mixed up with our fresh water supply. And here they're laying down the first strip of slurry seal. They're doing it in third widths. So they're starting on the southern third of the street across the street from us. Then they'll do our side of the street. And then they'll do the center striping. They dump the stuff and then rake it. Note that it starts off brown when applied wet, but will eventually dry to a black color. Now it's time for the north third of the street, the side by our house. And here's a perfect example of before and after. The stripe down the center has not been done yet. The two stripes on the left and right are complete. The brush or the utensil that they use to measure it out is exactly a third of the street wide. They measured it out perfectly. And now comes the center stripe to finish up the street. Note that the two sides have pretty much turned black or is turning a blackish brown, and the center, of course, is the fresh brown. I think he's watering it to dilute it because it's starting to get hard. That's all I could figure. And you can see it coming out of the chute and then getting smeared in the trough. And then that gentleman in the back is raking it, making sure that there's overlap. And here's a good example of where you can see that for the most part the sides have dried up and turned black, and the center is still brown, and it's going to take a few more hours for it to dry up. And here's the same thing, but looking into the glare of the sun so that you can get a better idea of the contrast between the dry and the wet. And more of the same with a wide view of the street having already been completed. Now all it has to do is dry. And finally, about 2 hours later, it's in the 4 o'clock hour, and they're just getting ready to open the road back up to traffic, but first they want to run it over with this steamroller, make sure that it's pressed into place. Actually, that doesn't look like a traditional steamroller. It looks like a device with 3 or 4 wheels, or a set of 2 dualies that are just pushing down on it, but I guess that's good enough. It doesn't have to be a full roller like in the traditional sense, but there we go. And he's just about finishing up, and that's it. Goodbye.